Hi, everyone. This is Jason Lupke, Global Solution Specialist with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. And I'm super excited today to be joined by a former colleague of mine, Mrs. Laura Simons. And Laura, would you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and teaching experiences.
I will. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Simons. So initially, when I started my teaching career, I was a school counselor, and then I transitioned slowly into the classroom. So right now I'm teaching second grade, and this is my second year teaching second grade. But I did counseling for 7 years. I homeschooled for 4, taught preschool for 5. So I do know a little bit about teaching and working with kids.
Okay, so Laura, I asked you to join us today. I've been doing this video series on small group instruction in the classroom, and I really wanted to bring you on because since we've worked together before, I know you do a really great job with small group instruction. And talk to us a little bit about why small group instruction is so important for you in your class.
Well, we all know that students learn best when you have a relationship with them. So it's difficult to teach kids when you don't know them. So for me, small group instruction helps me to know my kids. I know how they learn best. It gets me involved in their interests, in their family life, so that the classroom can in some way reflect their background. And then that helps students to confide in me and trust me enough to listen when I'm trying to teach them something new. So apart from building relationships, it also helps me to differentiate my teaching. So we know that everyone learns differently, and that's okay. It's just our job as teachers to help students to move from where they are in their current state and to get to where they need to be, their goal, their end line. And so we have to differentiate our teaching so that everyone has their needs met. And that's why I think small group instruction is so important. It targets all the needs of our students, and it helps us to fill those needs.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because in all the schools I've been in all over the world, that's what teachers tell me all the time, is that they have so many different students with different needs. And yes. I really do think small group instruction is a fantastic way to try to meet all of those needs. And I also really like that you bring up relationships in that, because I think that's something that we overlook sometimes when we think about small group instructions. Tell me more about what that small group instruction looks like in your traditional classroom setting when you're actually able to be with your students in a classroom. What does that look like for you?
Okay, so with my group, like this year I had 19 kids. And for me, that meant I was meeting with between 5 and 6 students at a table. So I had a small table with 5 or 6 students. And that means the other kids are left unattended? No. So we have, we set up a routine to make sure that everyone is doing something productive during that time. So it's a lot of training. And does it take time? Yes, it does. Is it something that we can master? I'm telling you, yes, you can. Because what that allows you to do, it frees up your time as a teacher to be able to meet with those kids in small groups, and then everyone is working at their level at different workstations. So I will have students meeting with me, other students will be working in an app, some students will be doing worksheet cutouts, other students will be meeting or discussing work. So it's just organizing and training your students to be able to work independently when you are working with those students who are in front of you. And what I use is, so there's a book called The Daily Five.
Yep.
And it's by Gail Boucher and Joan Moser. And it's pretty reader friendly, and it helps you to understand how to go about setting up independent work for your students. So while it's geared towards literacy and reading and writing, I have adapted that to fit small group math. So it's just the same information, but you're tailoring it to meet different content areas. So when students are meeting with me, others are working independently, they know that we have like small group etiquette. And that just means, how am I behaving? What am I supposed to be doing? Can I be off task? And I tell them all the time, if I'm working with students at my table, I'm invisible. The only students who can see me are those who are directly in front of me. And that will take some getting used to for these students, but it is possible to train them to work independently while you're with your other students.
Yeah, I like that. The invisible thing, I think that probably works really well with second graders, right?
Yes, they do.
Laura, do you have any other any other suggestions or little tricks like that? Like I know some teachers that use Ask 3 before me. Do you have anything else like that you use in your classroom?
So what I've done to allow students to work independently is try to figure out, okay, what are some possibilities or what are some situations that may arise that they would want my attention that I would not be able to give them during small group instruction. So for me, if they need to go to the restroom, I have a bottle of Germex that says boy and one that says girl. So if you need to go to the restroom, only 2 may leave the classroom at any one time. So if it's a girl, the girl takes the Germex bottle marked girl and she has it on her desk. So I know right away that, oh, Peyton left the classroom. Or if it's a boy, I know right away that Paul left the classroom. So they don't need to ask me, but at the same time, I do know where my students are and I'm accountable for all of them. Another thing too is that I have classroom helpers. Who are the students in my classroom who would be willing to help a classmate if they do need help and I cannot help them? So the students know who they can go to for help and not interrupt my small group instruction.
Yeah, it takes a lot of sort of prep work at the beginning for you.
Absolutely.
Once you have that prep work done, so you've trained your students, and you've thought of a lot of those things, which I imagine some of those things like your hand sanitizer trick, that probably takes a little bit to come up with those ideas, right? But once you've got those in place and you've trained your students, are your students, how do I want to ask this? Does it help with classroom disruptions? I mean, are your second graders able to follow those procedures and policies that you've set, so to speak?
Absolutely. So another thing I forgot to mention too is that I use bell chimes to signal transitions. So I am not voicing transition times. Okay, students, please pack up. We're getting ready to do. Once they hear the bell, they know right away, I need to stop what I'm doing. I don't have time for this task anymore, and I'm ready to transition to the next step. So that too, training your children to, I think it was it's a classical conditioning. So if they hear that bell every single time, then you don't need to voice. After training them steadily with fidelity, you don't have to say it anymore. They will respond to that bell and know that they need to pack up. So that's one of the things that I use. And it takes a lot of modeling. So it's literally like role playing. This is what reading a book looks like. This is what I mean when I say, I want you to read the whole time. So we start by building stamina. And does that take a while? Absolutely. But the children will get it, because I've seen, let's say by November, just before we leave for Thanksgiving, those kids know the routine. And like if you're doing it with fidelity, I can assure you that once you keep those routines and you keep practicing, then they will get it and they will be able to work independently.
Yeah. So you said by November, by like Thanksgiving time. So that's like August, September, October. So about 2.5 or 3 months.
Absolutely.
You've got them fully trained. But that's a build-up process too, right? So probably after 2 or 3 weeks, you've got part of that routine build up for them. Right.
So we call it guided practice, where we are giving each student small tasks that they can succeed at before making it more complex. So I start off by talking about, building stamina. How long am I supposed to read? This week we were going to build stamina for 2 minutes. So I set my timer. I look around my classroom, make sure that everyone is on task for those 2 minutes. You've succeeded. Then we can, move that increment up to 5 minutes. So it does take a while to build. And like I said, we start with really small tasks where you can feel successful, your students can feel successful, so that everything works out in the end to, building up to those more complex tasks. So breaking your end goals, your objectives into small tasks will help you meet those smaller goals.
If we said this fall, you've got to teach your class virtually. Okay. Do you have any ideas about how you would structure small group instruction? What might that look like for you? Have you thought about that?
I have. So over the past couple days, I've been playing around with a virtual classroom with links within that picture. So, I'm teaching elementary kids, so they like pictures, they like hands-on information. So they can click on different links to get to where they're going. Do I know the end result of this? I don't. I'm just being proactive in setting things up and trying to navigate online. So for me, it could mean that I am meeting with 4 or 5 kids every half an hour. So I'm looking again at using my small group instruction, and I'm going to transfer that into virtual learning. So I'm planning on meeting small groups of kids, again, getting to know them, building that rapport, and transitioning into just teaching my class from there. Because I know that it's going to be difficult for all of us, and we still have to find a way of making students feel loved and a sense of belonging and a sense of calm, and that, okay, it's not the traditional classroom, the brick and mortar, but it's still okay. I can still use my teachers. Yes. So for me, I'm going to still be using my small groups, and I'm planning on scheduling meetings that way, just to ensure that I am doing all the regular things I would have done had the students been in front of me.
Yeah. Do you have anything else that you want to add, or any thoughts about small group instruction or virtual learning?
I just want to let you know that it does seem impossible, but the end results are going to be phenomenal. You are going to be so proud if you stick with it, you follow your routines with fidelity, you are going to see some positive results. And like I said, I was not always in the States. I lived in Jamaica. I was a school counselor there, and I remember having 35 to 40 children in front of me. So I get it. Our classroom sizes are larger. We have a different cultural context from which we teach so we may not have all the different assessments that our Western counterparts have, but we know that we try our best to prepare our students for the future. And I know that this may be different from what you're used to, but if you give it a try, I can assure you that you are going to build the kind of classroom that you are proud of, and that you are going to make greater gains having small group instruction.
Well said. I like that. All right. Anything else you want to share, Laura?
That is it from me.